Hello and welcome to Visual Hunting. What we're going to be walking you through today is how to use and learn from data provided by Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife or at least for the 2009 Oregon turkey hunting data that's made publicly available. The reason, obviously, from a visual standpoint, you can get a much better feel for where the turkeys are and probably good spots to go check out or scout out for your 2010 turkey hunt. This video will just briefly demonstrate how to use this application. First thing to note is down here at the bottom is basically how we're filtering the data. So we can look at harvest data, hunters, number of hunter days, the days per hunter, so each hunter how many days they hunted, as well as the birds per hunter and the birds per hunt day. Down here we've got a legend which displays when you first load up this app. This is going to be based on the total harvest, so the number of turkeys that were harvested in that unit. Now all of this data, once again, is made publicly available through ODF&W's website. And it's basically data that's reported by hunters after the season through filling out their tags and mandatory reporting. So first off, if you do want to display cities, there's a checkbox here that you can display cities if you want to know what major cities within Oregon are near those hunting units. Hunting units are not counties, obviously, but just units that ODF&W uses to manage the hunting seasons and populations and wildlife and all that good stuff. You can turn unit names off as well if you want to just visually display data with color. I personally like to keep those on, but if you don't, you can still get the hunting unit name as you mouse over each unit. You'll notice down here in the bottom left a display of the actual unit number and name. So we'll go ahead and leave our unit names on and just kind of show you how we'd work with this to gain some insight as to where to hunt turkeys. The bright red spots are going to be where a lot of turkeys were harvested. The lighter red, less and less until you get to these white ones where really there aren't any turkeys, so nobody's out there hunting anyways. And once again, as you mouse over, you'll get the data. So Melrose, for example, has the #1 turkey harvest for 2009 with 855 turkeys. A couple other hot spots, if you look at Rogue 302, Applegate 230, and Evans Creek 201. So Southern Oregon is definitely a hot spot for turkeys and a good spot to be turkey hunting on opening day. But there's also some pretty good turkey hunting in the Willamette Valley. The Willamette and Mackenzie units are pretty good, and White River actually on the east side of Mount Hood. There's definitely some turkeys over there. A little bit in Central Oregon, not that many, and then there's definitely some turkeys over on the northeast corner of the state. So this is where the majority of turkeys were harvested. If we want to look at where the majority of hunters are, so this will give us a little bit different representation of how many people are hunting in a specific unit. Once again, there's definitely a lot of hunters down in the Southern Oregon area. Melrose 1265, Rogue 1121, but White River 1797. So White River's got the most people hunting, probably because it's proximity to Portland and kind of a small unit. So one thing to keep in mind if you head over there is it's definitely a crowded area, and when it comes to turkey hunting, that's not the most desirable thing as you're trying to hide and lure the gobblers in. There's some hunters obviously over in the northeast side of the state, but nowhere near what you're going to find on the west side. If we want to look at total hunter days, it's going to look fairly similar to the number of hunters, but just a little bit different display. And really what you're trying to do here is just get a feel for where you potentially want to go hunt based on where your odds are best going to be for a couple things. If you're going to need public land, obviously that's pretty important. You're going to find much more public land on the east side of the state. And if you're looking for places that aren't too crowded, use this data accordingly. Days per hunter, basically how many days did the average guy or gal out there hunt. And this will give you kind of a feel for how long it takes to actually fill your tag. And you'll also notice that the display is quite a bit different in that there's actually, up here in Saddle Mountain, there was no turkeys harvested, but did have an average of 2 days per hunter. So you'll see a display that kind of reflects that people are out hunting, but didn't necessarily have as much success as some of these other areas. You got a lot of, average person in Chetco is hunting 6.2 days. 5 days and 4 days and so on and so forth. And probably the more valuable metrics out of this are birds per hunter and birds per hunt day. I really like the birds per hunter because it really gives you a good idea of what your odds are going to be if you're hunting in that unit. So number one, Waihi 0.67, and I believe Melrose actually is 0.68. So these two units, your odds are better than 60% that you're going to fill your tag. At 0.5 would basically mean for every 2 guys hunting, 1 guy is going to get a turkey. Indigo 0.58 and so forth. As we move over here to the northeast side, same thing, about 0.5. Find a lot of 0.5, so your odds are pretty good if you're over in the northeast side to get a turkey. Now, personally, I spend a lot of my time in the Metolius unit, which has a birds per hunter of 0.1, which are not very good, but since it's pretty close to me, that's where I go. So basically, for every 10 hunters, 1 bird was harvested. So something to keep in mind as you're looking to where you want to go hunt is what is that birds per hunter day. And one more display of birds per hunt day gives you another representation of that data. So I would recommend just kind of play with the different filters and data sets to determine what's a unit or area that's close to you, and what's going to have the high birds per hunter number or birds per hunt day. And then there's obviously the factors of where you can hunt if you've got private land versus public land. But that's basically how you use this turkey hunting application. Come back to www.visualhunting.com, and we'll have some new apps for other species and other types of hunt for upland game and big game and all of your needs as far as finding the best place to hunt with looking at existing ODF and W data.